Today we're talking about the piece of cheating. What goes through a mind of a narcissist when they're cheating? Consider for a moment narcissists all cheat. I believe it's 100% true, and I believe that statement is true. Most people only think, oh, well, my narcissist didn't have sex with someone. Well, narcissists cheat you out of a lot of things. Does your narcissist cheat on you? This might be a question that you've wondered, and this might be a question that you've thought about, but you've also looked at it and you have no evidence, you can't prove it, you can't figure it out, and you're left wondering, I don't even think that this is a thing at all that he's even doing. Well, today we're going to talk about something that I need you to hear really clear and just really carefully. And the thing I want to talk to you today is 3 ways that he's cheating on you that you don't even realize, that you don't even understand, that you don't even know about. Now, this might not be the physical cheating. This might not be the emotional cheating. It might not be an affair that he's having with another person. But what I want to talk to you about is this piece of him cheating you and cheating you out of a lot of your life, a lot of your hopes and dreams, a lot of your time with your kids, and cheating you out of who you actually are. If you look even at the definition of the word cheater, if we Googled it and looked at the definition, what it says a person who acts dishonestly in order to gain an advantage. What type of advantage has he gotten over you because of his dishonest actions? We're not just talking about cheating and what he's actually done to another person or with another person. We're talking about how he's actually impacted you. And if you're not careful, you're only going to look at the situation based on another person or based on what he's doing. But looking at the impact of you is massive. It's affected so much. It's hurt you so much. It's confused you so much. And the cost of everything that's happened in your life has been massive. But what you understand is the narcissist cheats you out of your hopes and dreams. He cheats you out of the direction that you were actually going to go. You had an idea of what you wanted to do. You had goals before you got into this relationship. You had a vision of who you actually wanted to be. Many of you were already on that path to become a certain person, to go through a certain education system for you to arrive at a certain end goal, to go through certain internship, to go through a direction inside of your company, to continue to rise up. Many of you had goals that you no longer do. And you no longer have these goals because you've been with a toxic person that's literally stolen these away from you. And he's stolen these away from you simply because he's been involved in your life so much. And he's confused you so much. And he left you so stuck that everything that you once held dear to, you no longer do. This is not just the direction you're going and the goals that's happening. He also steals you away from time with your kids or being present with your friends and family. How many times have you seen yourself just disconnect? Be completely disconnected from the scenario you're in, from the situation you're in, from the person you're talking to, because your mind is somewhere else. Your mind is somewhere else coping. Your mind is somewhere else thinking about him, wondering what's going on, what's happening, when's the shoe going to drop, and it's going to be an awful day again. How do I know? All of these questions and thoughts are going to be racing through your head multiple times that get you disconnected, get you not present. And you know this because you're standing there zoned out. And the kids are calling your name multiple times before you actually interact. You know that because a friend is talking to you and all of a sudden you're like, sorry, what did you say? Because you're not present and you're not able to be present right now because of the amount of trauma and confusion that you're in on a day-to-day basis. But he's cheating you out of all those different relationships and being present for them. Narcissist is also cheating you out of you being you. He's stealing away your time, your affection, your energy, but over all of this, he's actually cheating you out of you being you. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, there's a version of you that shows up now as a liar. Because you're inauthentic to who you actually truly are. Who you are on a soul level, who God's actually called you to be, that doesn't exist here because it can't inside of this relationship. Because of all the stuff he's put on you, all the things that he said to you, all the things he's belittled and beat you down and put you down, multiple aspects that keep hurting you, have you show up inauthentic. Because you can't express your feelings, you can't express your emotions, you can't express who you truly are. And instead you're left a shell of a person, wondering, how do I heal? How do I move forward? How do I become who I'm actually called to be? I want you to understand he's cheated you out of so much. It's time for him to no longer cheat you out of anything ever again. This is one of the options that we've moved forward in helping women actually break free of the chains that have them stuck. the things that have you shackled to this relationship because you've lost so much. You've lost identity. You've lost your connection with your kids. There's a giant disconnect between you and other people, between you and your vision, your values, your goals, your boundaries. All of these different things have happened. And instead, you've been trapped with this toxic relationship. If that's you today and this resonates with what we're talking about here, I want you to step into Unchained. There'll be a link down below that you can click. Maybe you've already been to the webinar. Maybe you've already been to the masterclass. Maybe you've already been to what we've explained. But if this resonates and you realize everything that you've lost and that you've been cheated out of, it's time for you to break those bonds and move forward today. Do I believe their words? Do I believe their actions? Like maybe it's not them. Like maybe they're not the ones cheating. Maybe I'm just really insecure. And you start beating yourself up. Like you start thinking like, wait a second, like maybe it's not me. Understanding that like if you're in the place where you're with someone who's spending like a ton of time on their phone, they're being secretive about their whereabouts, they're acting distant, there's all these like little things. There could be cases of infidelity. There could be places of they're cheating on you. But you also have to understand it's not just that is for you to pull the plug. Should you wait for proof if your partner is cheating? A lot of times when we talk about narcissistic abuse and dealing with a narcissist, you might have this idea that he's cheating on you. You might suspect that something's happening, but you're not sure. You don't have proof. Maybe you're debating of like, do I confront them about it? Maybe I have confronted them about it. It's got explained away. Like, what do I actually do? A lot of times you might be considering that you might be wrong, that it's been explained away. And accusing your partner is just going to damage the relationship, or it's going to hurt it even more, or that's what they told you. A lot of times people don't realize how oftentimes narcissists are cheaters. I normally say narcissists are all cheaters because they cheat you out of time, money, energy, your dreams, everything like that. I was a cheater. I was a person who did this consistently over and over and over again. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, change, and development. Part of my journey included cheating, included having affairs. It wasn't just a one-night stand, but multiple affairs over a period of time. And it became worse and worse, of more and more time spent in these, more intricate lies, more things that were developed. But at the same time, I wasn't giving proof. There was no proof that was there. There was evidence that was hidden. There was lies that were given. There was multiple things happening, but I wasn't actually showing any type of proof that it was even happening. So my wife a lot of times would bring up different questions and concerns that she'd have, and I would explain those away. A lot of times you'll hear us talk about that in the form of gaslighting, of being like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Like, that's not what you actually think. Like, why would you even think that? That doesn't even make sense. Like, you need to really check to see your insecurity problems or your issues and flip it around on her. You know, do this over and over and over again, making her feel crazy, making her feel insane for even bringing it up. The majority of the time she would push it away. She'd be like, okay, well, I guess that he's not. One of the things that is hard is you might be in a relationship right now that you don't know. You don't know for sure. You have this sneaking suspicion. You have a lot of signs that point to him cheating on you, but you don't know. And so you're questioning and you're waiting and you're debating of, do I actually do this? Like, do I make a decision or do I not? Like, which do I actually do? That's one of the biggest debates that people have when they're in a toxic relationship and they think the person is cheating. Because you might be in the same place where the partner that you're with isn't actually giving you any clues or isn't giving you any proof of what's actually happening. Did you have the time where you talk to this person and you ask him, like, are you cheating on me? Is there someone else? Like, you ask all these different questions and they never tell you. Maybe you've even gotten to the place where you've discovered some piece of proof or seen a text message. You're like, wait a second, like, this is showing that you're cheating on me. This is showing that there's something here, and it's explained away. That person's just a friend. You're taken out of context. Like, why would I even do that? That person's married. Of course I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to cause that embarrassment to you. Like, over and over, there's all types of thoughts and excuses that come out to the place instead of full transparency. You might be at the place where you're wondering, why won't the person that I'm with even be honest with me? Like, just tell me the truth. Maybe they fake honesty, or they tell you certain things, or you start to look through their phone and you notice things are missing. Things are deleted. Things are not there. One of the things that happens a lot of times with narcissists is trying to cover their tracks so well that it makes you feel crazy because you can't actually find any type of proof. So the question and the debate is, do I stay or do I go? Like, which do I actually do? Do I actually make a decision to leave this person when I don't have proof? The hard thing is when we're talking about a toxic relationship, you can get to the place where you start to hold on to the concept of, if they're cheating, then I can leave. If they're doing this one thing, then I can leave. Cheating oftentimes is the normal one of like, well, if he cheats on me, then I'm out. The problem is you're the same type of person that will be with that person multiple times after they cheat and not move out and not actually make a break. Not because that person is changing at all, but because you're deciding to put up with it or give them one more chance or give them one more time. Because at the end of the day, you cannot make a decision based on that one thing. Because if a narcissist knows, so if you tell a narcissist, hey, if you cheat on me, we're done. They'll cheat on you all day long, but you'll never know. Because of the fact that they know this is something that you value that would actually end the relationship. This is something that if I do this, the relationship will end and I'll look like the bad guy. So I don't want to look like the bad guy. So I'm not going to be the bad guy. So I'm not going to do this and get caught. But a lot of times narcissists will still do it anyways. Did you have a relationship, or are you in a relationship where he's been cheating on you, or where you suspect it? You think this is going on. You might be wanting more proof and thinking maybe if I have more proof, it'll actually help. It'll actually work out that I'll be able to figure this out. Sometimes waiting around can be one of the biggest stressors on your life. I know a person that's been waiting for years to get actual proof before she's willing to make a decision to get out of the relationship. What it's done is it's wreaked havoc on her life. It's wreaked havoc on her kids, the relationship that she has with her kids, because the anxiety and the stress that is there so much of looking and wanting and hoping and thinking there might be proof one day when he's cheating on her, but she doesn't have proof. Sometimes if you wait around for proof, you're going to wait around for a long period of time. And a long period of time, and you're not going to get to the place of actually ever having proof. Or if you do, how many years might you have wasted on that? Now, I'm not just saying leave people over a gut instinct, so don't misquote me or get me out of context, okay? But at the end of the day, like, you have to understand that the person you're being with is either willing to be honest, vulnerable, and show consistent change, or they're not. And if they're not, then you don't really have a relationship. You don't really have a depth to the person that you're talking to the relationship that is supposedly there. You see, a lot of times narcissists will cheat, but then they'll tell you to trust them. Except the majority of times they'll tell you to trust them without providing any proof, without providing any means to be able to trust them. It's amazing how a lot of times you talk to a narcissist and you're like, hey, how are you going to improve the relationship? Well, I'm just going to do better. Okay, well, how are you going to help her trust? Well, I'm just going to be more honest. Like, all this kind of stuff that's like, that's not practical steps. Like, what are you actually going to do, implement, change, develop, so that you can actually be the person that is going to be trustworthy? Because otherwise, you're waiting around and you're hoping for something. Sometimes this will lead to paranoia, where you're questioning and doubting every single thing out there. You'll develop higher levels of insecurity. Like, what is actually happening? Like, this will further damage emotional, mental health, and the relationship. Like, you'll be looking and waiting for proof so much, they'll be distracted on actually investing in your kids, actually investing in your job, actually starting to plan like the next step of life because you're waiting so much for this one thing. And then you get to the place where you're going to make an accusation. This is where it gets flipped around and shown back on you, where you say like, hey, I think you're cheating on me. And you pull out like whatever pieces of proof or questions or ideas, and it gets flips around back on you. Then you're the bad one. Then you're the toxic person. You're the person that's insecure, that's attacking. All these different things get pulled out when you're like, wait a second, like you spend so much time with this person or disappeared or all these different things. Like you have like these different like gut instincts. Now, I know we can't always trust our gut, but a lot of times the gut instinct is there to warn you of something that doesn't actually add up. But when you bring that up to a narcissist, they're going to flip around on you. They're going to switch it around and make you feel like you're the bad person. Have you had that happen? Where you come to the table and you bring up a concern, an issue, a problem, a feeling, an emotion, and all of a sudden you feel like you're apologizing for what you just brought up. Like you're sorry for inconveniencing him in the moment. Of like, well, I'm sorry. Like, I guess I shouldn't have said anything. Like, I shouldn't have brought up like my concern because like obviously I'm wrong. And it gets flipped around on you to make you feel bad. and to push you down and to make sure that you actually typically conform or comply to the toxic person in your life. If you're at the place where you're like, I don't know, should I wait for this proof or should I not wait for this proof? Like, you have to look at other aspects in the relationship. How is this person developing honesty? How are they showing and demonstrating respect? How is the relationship growing and fostering care? Like, you need to look at the facts of the situation. Until you get really clear about the facts that you do know, you'll never understand a piece of it that you don't know or that you don't have proof for. The thing you have to understand is people look for proof of cheating and they look for diagnosis to be justified in leaving a toxic relationship. The majority of the time, you should have already left based on the other traits, based on the rage, based on the lying, based on the manipulation, based on the gaslighting, based on so many different things in the relationship that you're like, I should have left, but I was holding on for one thing. If I had confirmation of that person being a narcissist, if I had confirmation of this person being a cheater, then I would have left. The problem is that means you're going to accept a whole lot more of shit before you actually get to the place of making a decision, because you're not sure what to do, because you're only evaluating it by one or two things. And as a result, you're willing to stay through a lot of abuse and through a lot of toxicity to try to get to the place of hoping that the relationship's going to work out. A lot of times people will do this, and it breeds this concept of cognitive dissonance of like, do I believe their words? Do I believe their actions? Like, maybe it's not them. Like, maybe they're not the ones cheating. Maybe I'm just really insecure. And you start beating yourself up. Like, you start thinking like, wait a second, like maybe it's not me. Understanding that, like, if you're in the place where you're with someone who's spending like a ton of time on their phone, they're being secretive about their whereabouts, they're acting distant, there's all these like little things, there could be cases of infidelity, there could be places of they're cheating on you. But you also have to understand it's not just that is for you to pull the plug. Like, if they're cheating and you find out about it, sure, like, pull the plug. But like, if you see that, you also have to evaluate, like, how is the rest of the relationship? How are they demonstrating love? How are they demonstrating care? How are they demonstrating respect? How are they demonstrating loyalty? How are they demonstrating all these different things of building you up, of working in the relationship? If you're wondering right now, like, how do I determine, is this person a narcissist? Are they a cheater? Am I the toxic person? What's going on? I'll have you go to escapetoxicity.com today to start understanding more about it. You can click the link on any of the bios to help understand more about narcissistic abuse, more about narcissism, and how to get free from the toxic person that you're currently with. All narcissists cheat. All narcissists cheat. A lot of people have heard me say that on lives, on different interactions, and working with different people, and I believe it's true. And so I want to ask you today, does your narcissist cheat, or do you believe that they cheat? And talk to you about 5 different types of cheating that a lot of times people define as like, hey, these are different aspects that are considered cheating. Don't believe me? Let's dive in. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change. We do it on all the different platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, all under Raw Motivations. You can follow us, like, subscribe, share the stuff to help someone else who might be stuck in toxicity and get free. You never know who you could save just by letting them have a bit of awareness about the situation that they're going in that's awful or that's abusive. If you want to hear from the wife's perspective, check out our podcast called Trauma, Drama, and Life on Apple Podcasts. We'd love to interact with you there. Season 1's out. Season 2 will be coming in 2023. Super excited about that, so stay tuned for more. Also, we've got the NARC app. If you don't know what that is, go to narcapp.com, NARCAPP, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. It's a community of people that have gone through the same shit that you're going through right now. And they've come on there to be able to help provide with courses, with tracking, with accountability, with encouragement, with places to ask for advice, with monthly coaching calls where we bring people in from across the country to help run those and to help inspire in different directions, and also weekly check-ins to help you engage with friends on there to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm showing up, and to be able to work through those on a weekly basis. We can ask questions, everything like that too. So check that out. narcapp.com. If you want to work with me sometimes one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com. Would love to interact with you. I try to focus to help people break the trauma bond, to work on rewiring the story that they believe, to be able to get through limbo land, which is detoxing from a toxic person, and to get to a place where they establish healthy boundaries so that they don't go back to a narcissistic person, and so they don't get with a toxic person down the road. You can reach me at rawmotivations.com, click on one-on-ones. Would love to talk to you there and help you in your healing however I can. So when we talk about narcissism and we talk about cheating, they normally go hand in hand. If you followed any of the stuff on my platform, you know that that is something that is personal to my story. I am a narcissist and I'm also a cheater. Narcissism doesn't excuse cheating, and cheating isn't just because of narcissism. When it comes down to it, we see a lot of narcissists that do cheat. Thankfully, I've been able to work through with lots of therapy, with EMDR, with working on my marriage and everything that's happened over the past several years to work on being clean from supply, from that type of lifestyle, from the cheating aspect, and moving forward to live in a positive way, in a positive environment, to make that positive environment for my family, for my friends, for people around us. Now, a lot of narcissists will come to the table and they say that they don't cheat. Even the cheaters say that they don't cheat. So it's like, how do you know if they're actually cheating or not? Well, typically narcissists will say they don't cheat because they don't want to admit, one, that they're doing something wrong, and two, that they might be wrong in who they are or in what they're portraying. You see, someone putting out there like, hey, I'm a good person, and then they go and they cheat, that's incongruent with how they're actually living and how they're actually showing up. So for a narcissist, the goal is, let me show I'm a good person, do whatever I want, but still believe that and still show that so I don't have to feel bad about myself. This is one of the lies that I told myself time and time again, that even though I was going out and cheating, I was still providing, I was still showing up, I was still coming home, so I still had to be a good person. That lie was an awful lie that kept me stuck in a cycle for a long period of time. So what is cheating? If we just Google a cheating definition, okay, all it says is cheating is an act that is dishonest or fair, as a person acting dishonest or fair to gain an advantage. Pretty simple. That really makes it so that all narcissists cheat. A lot of times when I'm talking about narcissists cheating, I'm saying, hey, they might be cheating in these different ways, but they're going to always put something over you. If you're in a relationship, one, you really don't matter, it's transactional, they're always going to find something to gain an advantage to put over you, then they would actually put your worth and your value above their own interests at time. Because remember, it's all about the narcissist. So we're going to dive in real quick. I've got a link down below if you want to see one of the articles that I pulled this from. But I was just kind of curious of different types of cheating and how that actually look. Because sometimes people are like, my narcissist cheated, and someone's like, no, they didn't, it was this. Well, we're going to throw it out there and let you all figure it out. Okay, so there's 5 types of cheating, or the article talks about it, it's like infidelity, but there's 5 types of cheating. Okay, first one is pretty obvious. Physical, okay? Sexual in nature, okay? They had sex, okay? With that, it doesn't always mean that there's emotions involved. Doesn't mean that there is this giant affair. This could be something like hookups. This could be something like using prostitutes. This could be friends with benefits. Like, all it is in this aspect is like, hey, they're cheating physically. The second one is emotional cheating. Oftentimes we see this as being this intimacy attachment to another person. Oftentimes it leads to a physical relationship. It becomes that because there's this connection piece that all of a sudden makes everything seem wonderful and amazing, so then they run towards that even more, and it becomes a physical relationship. For me, that's how they all happened. I didn't just hire a bunch of people to be, have a physical and a sexual relationship. It was emotional. It was getting close to someone else, playing a different story in my head of like, my marriage isn't good enough or it's not safe, so I'm going to go to someone else, connecting on that emotional level and having that follow that suit of leading to physical in nature. The thing is, a lot of times when people have an emotional affair, the partner will sometimes say, I would have rather you cheated in a physical way than I would have you cheating on me in an emotional way. Because it hurts different a lot of times to people, because that's someone that they fell in love with that chose to give their love, to give the love that they could have given back to someone else. Not just their body, but their emotions, their heart, their soul, like all those different types of things that people look at that and be like, that's really hard to process. And it is. The third one that's listed in the article is cyber cheating. And so oftentimes we see this with like online interactions. So you see this where they're texting multiple people, where they've got 3,000 women or men in their DMs, whatever it might be, and they're engaging in sexual content with those people. So it's not just like, hey, how's the weather? Like, no, it's all sexual in nature. A lot of times people will be on like sexual like chats, we'll have different aspects that they're engaging with, different like webcam stuff, or all going into different types of stuff. That's called cyber cheating. Typically, you're going to see people put pornography under here of saying like, hey, you're cheating on me with that image, with those people in that cyber way. So how they describe it is cyber cheating. Number 4 is called object infidelity or object cheating. Okay. And what this is it the obsession or interest outside of the relationship? So it's putting something else above the relationship that I'm obsessed with, that I'd rather spend time with, for the hurt and for the detriment of the relationship. And just like they would with going out and being, sexual with someone else. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this. It's going to hurt this relationship. I'm going to go out and focus on this. It's going to hurt the relationship. With object relationship, we're talking about like maybe workaholic, like obsessed with certain things. But all those things have to be something that is hurting the relationship. And then they normally refer to it as object cheating or object infidelity. Okay. Number 5 is financial cheating. And this one might sound a little bit different to people, but the financial cheating is the idea of still having that cheating aspect, but it's in finances, being deceitful, lying about how much money they actually have, how much money they earn, the debt that they owe, how much they spend or loan out or whatever it might be, hiding money in different accounts, or, buying a bunch of things and saying we don't have money. Like all this type of like manipulation, sometimes you'll hear it in the narcissistic terms of being like financial abuse. Well, in this context, going through, number 5 was financial cheating. After you've been with someone who has cheated in one of these areas, or that has cheated to whatever level that you view cheating to be, a lot of times it's hard to walk back from that. The majority of time, people don't walk back from that. Sometimes people stay stuck in it longer because of a trauma bond and because the abuse has ramped up to the point where you don't think you're able to walk away from that person. The thing you need to understand is if you're with someone and you're watching this happen time and time and time again, you need to take a look at their actions versus their words, because their words don't mean anything based on their actions being incongruent with how they're living, of how they're talking, of how they're showing up, of how they're demonstrating that respect and love and care to you. If you're with someone who's cheated, who is cheating, and there's no change, there's no honesty, and there's no vulnerability, then you need to walk away. Sometimes people get my story confused when, they're blowing up one of my posts about like, oh, like he's a cheater, like all that stuff. I cheated, confessed the first one, cheated over several years, and then confessed all the others, the other 4. Whenever I did that, I ended up getting into therapy, did EMDR, did regular therapy for a period of time, and then my wife left. Sometimes people get those confused thinking that was the catalyst or everything like that. Like she left when she realized like, hey, even though he's in therapy, it's not changing, so I'm going to leave. The only reason she came back and the only reason that we're together today is because of the fact of changed behavior. As I'm in therapy and as I'm working on it, I'm rewiring my mindset. I'm changing what I'm actually believing and going through and understanding and working on the inner child. Like a lot of different things happen in therapy. And when she came back to get close, be able to be there for a week or so, be able to see if there's any changed behavior, what she noticed was a complete difference of how I was showing up, of how I was interacting, how I was responding, how I was demonstrating care towards her versus it being all about me. Now, does that mean we've been perfect? No. It's had lots of ups and downs since then, but no cheating. And we've worked through different boundaries and things that I need to have, boundaries that I know, and then boundaries that she has that I don't know at all. But I just know that every single day I'm showing up to be honest, to be vulnerable, and show that consistent change. And as I continue moving forward, that's all I can do is continue to work on myself regardless of what anybody else does around me. Hey, just want to jump in here really quick and say you might have been watching my content for a period of time, but you haven't taken the next step. You haven't taken the next moment, the next idea, the next thought to actually change your life. And I want to provide you with a couple different options. One of the ways is to be able to work with me personally inside the Thriver Intensive. What I do inside of there is help you break the trauma bond, eradicate the triggers, and move forward in the healing process. You got 24/7 access to me. You've got access to other women who are going through it, access to other coaches, but a support system that you need to finally break free once and for all, and to make sure that you don't go back, that you don't interact with them again, and that you finally find peace. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about this, then click on the link down below, but it'll be rawmotivation.com/breakthrough. You'll be able to hear a little bit from me, you'll be able to hear a little bit from my wife, and be able to hear a little bit more about what I do to help you move forward. If that resonates with you, click on the link below, rawmotivation.com/breakthrough. Have you ever been in a relationship with a narcissist who cheated? Now, I normally say on most of my videos that all narcissists cheat. There's some that might not fall into that particular category. If you expand it out to what cheating is as a whole, just by definition, then yeah, they all cheat. Being liars and dishonest and running away from the truth of themselves, but also how it's actually impacting and hurting you. Today, I want to talk through the aspect of cheating and even step into a piece of mental cheating of what does that actually look like? How does that actually break down and how does it actually impact the relationship? My goal is that you're able to learn and understand just a different perspective of this and be able to see how do you actually move forward from the hurt. There's a lot of people that say like cheating as a whole is awful or hurtful in the relationship, but like the aspect of emotional or mental cheating oftentimes hurts even more because it's not just the physical act of someone going out and being with someone, but it's the emotional piece of that being taken away from one person and given to another. And so we want to be able to talk through just some steps for you to be able to work through this and to be able to help cope in the aspect of dealing with the hurt of being with a toxic person that cheats. Where did this bring you? Like when you think of narcissistic abuse and when you think of raw motivations, when you think of, hey, I'm watching this video today, how did you get here? Did it end up being a piece of it being around cheating or it being around lying? Oftentimes we see this in narcissistic abuse of it being a common thread and a theme that happens in narcissistic relationships. For me, it was something that was prevalent in my life, and I'm not going to dive into a ton of that. I've got some other videos to talk about my relationships and the cheating that happened in them and what kind of brought me to this place here today. But I want you to understand this aspect of the unseen betrayal, where there's slowly this piece of giving away pieces mentally and emotionally to other people outside of the relationship. And this aspect of like mental cheating involves forming these emotional connections and relationships outside of the one that's already been agreed upon, which can be and oftentimes more hurtful as physical infidelity. Now, the hard part is how do you actually see this? How do you actually catch this? Because it's subtle, it's small. It's just like a tiny betrayal that you don't actually know is going on. This is the lie that gets justified on the narcissist side of like, it's not really hurting anyone. It's not really affecting them. Well, it's not really hurting or affecting because that person doesn't know, but it is still having a negative impact on the relationship because the emotional scars that are slowly being formed without the other person knowing as they think that this is a healthy relationship, as they think that you guys are bonded together when in reality, you're not. This is the hard part because then after the relationship, you feel completely alone and lost and you're confused of was anything real at all. The hard part is a narcissist having a lack of empathy brings them to a place of like, well, it's easier just to be with multiple people than it is to have depth. This is the aspect that I ran from, was having true depth in a relationship. It would be easier to have pieces of me known to everyone else than it was to have one person know everything about me. Call it a loss of control, call it a piece of fear, call it an aspect of like, oh, this person would know me and leave me and I'd be shamed, all this aspect. But it's like, let me be with multiple people, let me interact with multiple people, let me have these emotional affairs with other people to continue the facade of who I want to be or how I want to come across. Mental cheating is this aspect of it being a betrayal that cuts deep, because it's oftentimes justified and hidden in so many different ways that it makes you think the relationship is okay when it's not. Oftentimes emotional affairs, mental affairs lead to physical affairs. And it's very uncommon that someone just has this emotional affair for years and years and years without them actually doing something about it and without it impacting the relationship. Let's say the person in your life only had an emotional affair. Well, how did it actually affect you? Well, it started to pull away at connectedness, right? Like there wasn't much of a connection there. It oftentimes affects the intimacy piece. It oftentimes affects how they show up in the relationship, the irritation, the frustration, not being open, not being vulnerable about what's actually transpiring and going on, and produces more and more frustration and tension in the relationship. Like it starts to erode trust between how do I actually know if this person is actually in love with me, if this person actually cares about me. And it starts to erode different pieces. Maybe you're at the place where you've discovered your narcissistic partner has been engaging in these long conversations with other women. And he's been going back and forth, telling them that he loves them, telling them that he cares about them, going back and forth. And you just figured it out. And you just found out about it. Now, he's assuring you that it's just been emotional. Whether it has, whether it hasn't, who knows? You might have to do some more digging and investigation to even figure that out. But what you start to see is this person, the narcissist in your life, has been giving away more and more of himself emotionally while he's been unwilling to do that to you. Now, the hard part is then he starts to blame you that it's your fault. Well, you've been closed off. You haven't opened up. It's been, and it starts listing out a litany of things that you haven't done that means he hasn't done. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of times a narcissist will put it back on the other person. I did this a lot. You didn't open up, so why should I open up? And the whole thing of well, it's your fault for my actions. I want you to understand right now, if the narcissist is blaming you, if he's blaming you for his actions, it's wrong. It's false. Because he's in control of his own actions. You don't control his own actions. Otherwise, he's just playing victim saying, oh, I wasn't capable of controlling anything at all. Not really the person you want to be with. But oftentimes you'll have this aspect where the narcissist will use the other person, will use anyone and everyone to have these long conversations, these emotional connections with, sharing personal thoughts, personal feelings, connecting with them. And this emotional bond formed outside of relationship is this huge betrayal because they're unwilling to actually be honest with you about what's going on. This is hard because it brings you to a place where you feel completely shattered. Trust is strewn out over the floor, just broken apart because it shatters the foundation of the relationship. This is why I normally say if you don't have honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change, you do not have a relationship because a relationship has to be built on this mutual trust, this mutual respect of hey, I can actually trust this person has my back. But instead, this opens up the door leading to pain, leading to self-doubt, leading to you feeling less than because of how this person treated you. It goes much further than just betrayal. It starts to trigger you in ways that you didn't even realize were there. Bringing out pieces of inadequacy, bringing out pieces of self-blame, leaving you questioning your worth. This is probably one of the biggest things that we see in people's lives is they start to question their worth based on how the other person treated them. Because he left you, or because he started emotionally cheating on you, you start to question, I must not be good enough because of his decision. I must not have been healthy enough because he went to her. I must not have been sexy enough because he went to her. I must not have, and you start to doubt yourself and you start to blame yourself. And you start to question your own worth and validation based on another person's decisions to be toxic. Another person's decisions to not show up honest. Another person's decisions to not be a man. And show up vulnerably in a way to actually say, this is what I'm feeling. This is what is actually going on. But instead, running to other people. That's what I did. So I'm not coming from a frame that's being all judgy on other people. I'm coming from a frame of saying, that's who I was. Of showing up and being I would rather start another emotional affair and another relationship with someone else than I would be honest about what's actually going on inside. Bearing it down, hiding, moving to the next person, instead of actually saying, no, let me actually be a man and be honest. But I didn't want to do that. Instead, I wanted to run from it. So you need to understand that the infidelity, mental, emotional, physical, whatever it might be, is not a reflection of your value. This is where so many different counselors, therapists, religions get it skewed up. When my wife and I, when we went to Christian counseling after the first affair, she walked away from that whole interaction thinking that it was her fault. If she had done better, I wouldn't have done those things. When it had nothing to do with her, it had everything to do about me and what I wanted, which is why I did it. Didn't have anything to do with her. But that's not what they made her think and feel. This is a piece that I want you to understand is your worth does not come from how another person treats you. You need to understand, you will go through this ups and downs of feeling worthlessness. and realizing that like over time, it is not your fault. The worthlessness that you have is this contrived feeling that comes from how another person treated you. It's not because you weren't good enough. But we have to help you actually move forward and rediscover you. Rediscover how you're actually moving forward and becoming the person that you're called to be. Understanding that you have strengths, you have passions, you have interests, you have things that make you unique. Those things have more to do with your value than how another person treats you, than how another person responds to you. And I want to encourage you to focus back on you, your growth, your self-esteem, and rebuilding those things. You've been focused so long on the other person. You've been focused so long on the toxic person, you haven't had a chance to even take care of yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, to help you actually move to be the person you're called to be. So this is going to cause you to set up some healthy boundaries to others, for yourself, back and forth, to be able to say, no, this is what I'm going to do to protect your emotional well-being and further prevent manipulation. Of saying, this is the line that I'm not going to cross. I'm actually going to start working on myself. I'm actually going to start developing healthy habits on a day-to-day basis to help me move forward in growing, changing, and developing myself into who I'm called to be. We walk you through that and we step into that inside the 7-day challenge. I want to invite you to check that out. You can go to escapetoxicity.com. It's our 7-day challenge for $7, just helping you understand narcissistic abuse, but to also have you understand other people that are walking through that same process as well. If we could be of any help today, go to escapetoxicity.com. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can go to rawmotivations.com. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because we want to be able to share this with more people every single day to help them in their healing journey. Is emotional cheating actually cheating? Because like they didn't actually do the deed, they didn't actually have sex, he didn't actually go over to her house. Like, is it actually cheating or not? You see, a lot of narcissists are going to debate this and even put up walls to be able to say, like, I didn't actually cheat. Like, I didn't actually have sex with her. Like, we might have got close, but like, I didn't actually have sex with her. I didn't even go see her. And it's amazing how a lot of times when you talk to a toxic person, you start to catch him in one of his lies, how if you start to pull on that strand, you will see the entire rug unravel. Of like, wait a second, like, who have you been texting? I haven't been texting anyone. Oh, okay, well, I'm texting this person. Okay, like, oh, how long have you been texting this person? Oh, yeah, well, she's just a friend. Okay, well, she's a friend that, we had coffee once. Oh, well, she's a friend that, like, we met up one time. Oh, she's a friend that, like, we met up one time and we just talked. Oh, she's a friend one time that we met up one time, we talked, and we might have kissed. And we might have, and it just continues to go. A lot of times you'll have a narcissist that will not tell you the truth, like pretty much all of them, like, and not tell you the truth, but then when you start to pull on that, you start to figure out the truth, it keeps expanding. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because the lies have been going on for such a long period of time that it's hard to even be free from them. And so narcissists keep lying and lying and lying on top of it. But part of this is continuing to lie about cheating. Narcissists don't want to get caught cheating. Why? Not because the narcissist thinks it's morally wrong. The narcissist could care less. He doesn't care. Okay? So like the whole piece of like, doesn't he know it's morally wrong? He doesn't care. That's why he's doing it. Okay? What he knows is that this isn't acceptable inside of society. Okay, this isn't acceptable in the church circle you run with. This isn't acceptable in the co-working space that he runs with. This isn't acceptable in society, so he has to keep it hidden. That's why he's keeping it hidden. This is not for any other reason. He's keeping it hidden because he knows it doesn't match up to everybody else. Now, when he's around certain people that like, hey, they cheat too, he's like, oh yeah, I cheat too, right? Like there's this piece of like, okay, now I can bring this up. But otherwise, he's going to keep it hidden. Part of this is going to be using it in an emotional way. It's so easy for any man to get involved in an emotional affair. Why? Because you got these cellular devices, right? Super easy to be able to log in on any social media platform, start a conversation with anyone. Half of them are probably bots anyways, but start a conversation with anyone and go back and forth developing this relationship, this fantasy, this emotional connection. So many women that have been cheated on would have rather been cheated on physically than emotionally. That's coming from women that we work with, and that's coming from my wife. Just saying, hey, I would have rather like him just like cheated and like not cheated like emotionally. So like out of like one of the affairs that I did, like it was like a 2-week thing. It was like really short, really small. There was an emotional connection. She was like, it was a lot easier to work through the pain of that than it was the people that he like gave his heart to. Like the people that he's like vulnerable, honest, and like trying to open up pieces, right? And so like understanding this is a huge disconnect. Is a lot of times narcissists will look at it and be like, oh, it's just emotional. Like we didn't actually have sex. It's not that big of a deal. And oftentimes they do this to downplay your emotions, like to downplay how you actually feel about it, to downplay the hurt that you're trying to deal with, to downplay what you're actually trying to go through. And so I want you to consider for a moment that when a narcissist is doing this and when he's trying to downplay all of this, is showing you exactly what you need to be focusing on. It's not that big of a deal. You need to be focused on that. That's a big deal. I was just texting her. It's not that big of a deal. You need to be focused on that. It's a big deal. When the narcissist is trying to distract you, we talked the other day about blame shifting, trying to blame you for stuff, trying to shift your focus. Oftentimes it's like, how do I shift your focus off of what's going on to have you focus on something else? Look over here while this is going on. Narcissists will try to do this all the time. So are you dealing with this in the relationship where he's minimized the cheating that's happened? It's just emotional. It wasn't that big of a deal. It is a huge deal because he's breaking agreements with you. Maybe you're married. He's breaking agreements, whatever the vows were that you actually had. He's breaking those agreements with you, and he's choosing to bring another person into those agreements and saying, hey, I'm going to communicate and put my heart into someone else. That's huge. Like that's a lot different than just cheating physically. Bad too, but a lot different. Instead, he's making a choice. And so many times a narcissist will make you feel like it's not a choice, or it's your choice, or it's everybody else's choice, but it's not him. He didn't do it. He does. He makes an actual choice every single time to cheat or not cheat, to text that person a response or to not, to continue the replies or not. There's a thing that happens over and over and over again where a narcissist is trying to dabble into messaging, interacting with other women to be able to get this high. And this high is addictive. It's addictive because he's like, hey, if I do this, this feels amazing because this person's validating me. This person makes me feel good about myself. This person's boosting up my insecurities. This person's making me feel wanted. This person's obsessed with me. All it is supply. But the hard thing is that's him giving away his heart to another person. Now, how do you actually work on getting yours back? Because a big piece of this is you've already given and invested your heart into him. Part of it has to be stepping back and taking a look at the full picture, understanding that he made a choice, understanding that that was his choice and it wasn't anyone else's choice. It was his actual choice, and understanding the fact of the matter that he doesn't care because he made that choice. He made that decision to be able to step into another relationship without regard for you. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. He didn't mean not to hurt you because he made that decision. I didn't intend for this to hurt you. He didn't intend for you to find out. He had every intention of doing what he wanted to do, and he didn't care about the results. He didn't care about the ramifications. He didn't care about the things that happened. Do you see this? Do you understand this? This is what you're going to see a lot of times, a narcissist that runs into whatever he wants and ignores the carnage behind him because at least it didn't affect him. That's the thought process. But it's devastating and destroying you. If you want to be able to step forward in your healing process, I invite you to move forward. But go to rawmotivations.com. I'd love to be able to talk to you. I'd love to be able to help you move forward in healing from the abuse that's been happening, in healing from the emotional cheating that you've had to suffer from the toxic person in your life. Consider for a moment narcissists all cheat. I believe it's 100% true, and I believe that statement is true. Most people only think, oh, well, my narcissist didn't have sex with someone. Well, narcissists cheat you out of a lot of things. As soon as I said bye to my wife and my daughter, I walked out of the door, and as soon as I walked out of the door, climbed into my car and started to drive to work. I picked up my phone and I called the next woman. This had been a pattern in my life for a period of time where I was unwilling to actually tell the truth, and I was unwilling to actually show up as a man in my life and in my relationships. As a result, I started down this path of cheating. I started this path of having affairs with other people that I would view, and I would try to be able to view in my own mindset, my own thought process, that I was the victim, that I wasn't getting what I wanted from my wife, so therefore I would just cheat. Does this happen to you? Have you caught the guy that's in your life cheating on you? Have you caught him actually having this affair and going out, seeking other women, seeking other forms of supply, if we talk about it in a narcissistic term, of trying to get stuff from other people? Whether that's money, image, sex, appearance, emotional, all different types. But did your narcissist cheat on you? If If you all are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse. I help liberate women from toxic relationships and help bring awareness to narcissistic men of how they can actually change their ways by embracing honesty and a scripted out plan and process of rewiring the thought process. If people don't actually change the thoughts that they believe, nothing is ever going to change. Part of your thought today might be thinking, well, he's asking, do all narcissists cheat? And my narcissist didn't cheat. And so I want you just to watch this video with an open mind, thinking for a moment, what actually does that mean? What does that actually mean when we say, do all narcissists cheat? And what are the ramifications for you on how he actually cheated you? You see, majority of time when I talk to people on a first call, just kind of like an intro call, understanding the facts about where they are, there's normally a litany of things that affect people. A litany of things that affect you because of how you've been in this toxic relationship for such a long period of time, whether that's 1 month, 1 year, or 20 years. What I've found is women are greatly impacted by being with a narcissistic male. It happens. Because what happens inside the relationship makes you feel oftentimes crazy, makes you feel oftentimes insane. I want you to consider for a moment that when you're in a toxic relationship, it has immense impact inside your mental and your emotional health. There's many people that have lost so many years off of their life simply because of the toxicity that they've been in, how it's ramped up their anxiety so much, how it's ramped up their stress levels, and how that's had an impact not just on the mental and the emotional side point of view, but also the physical. How it has hurt your body from the extreme weight loss and the weight gain. How it has hurt you of the lack of sleep, the fact that now you have insomnia, the fact that now you are at the place where you have autoimmune disease, where your hair's been falling out and you've just been attributing it to stress at work or other things that are going on, when in reality, it's the toxic guy in your life. We see this have such an impact on so many different people. And this has an impact on you in just the fact that all of these things are going to impact you in a great deal for a long period of time. It's not just that you're with a narcissist and it impacts you for that short time, and then all of a sudden you're healed and better when all of a sudden he disappears or you leave. But instead, oftentimes there's lasting effects that continue going on. Now, inside the relationship, there's oftentimes this piece where the narcissist cheats, where he's going to find other forms of supply. Now, let's clarify this for a bit. Sometimes people get all ramped up about me calling other people supply. And if we're dealing with narcissists and we're dealing with the narcissistic spectrum and the narcissist personality disorder, narcissists view other people, other human beings, as a form of supply. I've reused this reference as far as talking about you're just an appliance to him. You're just a toaster, meaning that he wants to have you in his life to be able to use and abuse you for that period of time and then moves on to the next person. Many of you have already seen this in your relationship where he has used and abused you, moved on to the next person, moved on to the next person, and you've seen this pattern. And this pattern sometimes gets easy to identify because he's just going from woman to woman to woman to woman over and over again. Or you catch him and you start realizing, hey, this isn't just a one-time thing, but this has been a multiple affair. This has been multiple things that have happened, multiple people that he's contacted. Some of you have become just aware recently, like within the past week, within the past month, of how many people he was actually texting. You finally got into his phone, or you look through his computer and all of a sudden you realize that all of the work emails and all of the friends that he was communicating with were just other women. And the fact that you thought that you were in a committed relationship has now just completely disintegrated. And you're left feeling confused, feeling frustrated, and feeling like you're not good enough. And the hard part is when you're inside of this type of relationship and all of a sudden the blinders get unfolded off of your eyes, it leaves you in a place of complete heartbreak. A couple months ago, I was at a conference. And there's a piece of the conference where we had like different breakout pieces and we were talking to different people. And I met with this one lady, and as I sat down, she was like, what do you do? And I said, hey, I'm a coach. I work with narcissistic abused females that have been struggling, how to actually get out. I also work with narcissistic males to help them like change their thought process and mindset to actually be different. And when I sat down with her, she just like started tearing up. And the reason why she started tearing up is because she just found out just like, I think it was like 5 days before the event, that the guy that she was with, her husband of, I think it was like 15 years or maybe a little bit more, had cheated on her. And not just once, but it had been a repeated thing throughout the relationship that she never had a clue about. And all of a sudden, it all got revealed to her all at once. There's an opportunity for us to be able to talk and just work through where she was currently at, because the pain, the heartbreak, like everything had just been ripped out from her. And she wasn't sure what to be able to do. She wasn't sure where to go. She wasn't sure how to be able to move forward, how to be able to process the pain and the hurt that she was actually feeling in the moment. Narcissists cheating on their partners have a huge, huge effect. The hard part is the narcissist in your life gaslights you into making you think that it's your fault. That it's your fault that you cheated, that he cheated on you, but you made him cheat. Like, it'd be all sorts of projections and things pushed on you, making you feel like it's your fault, making you feel like you're the bad guy in the situation. So coming back to the original question, do all narcissists cheat? There's a piece inside of here that's going to well up inside you thinking like, well, my narcissist didn't cheat. I'd have you consider two things. One, half of you thinking that question right now just haven't caught it. And you're living in a land of fantasy, and you're living in a land that's naive, thinking that because he's so busy at work, he doesn't have time to cheat. Well, you forgot about the women that he's working with, that he can cheat with, and that he can start an affair inside the workplace. Some of you think that he's too busy at work, therefore he doesn't have time to even get out and go find someone. Well, what about the lady who he was always in the court, and he's always in the court system, and so as a result, there's many times where he would be in the court proceedings and in the courtroom where he couldn't have access to his phone. Well, all he did is he started just putting on his calendar fake court appointments. So she thought, I don't have access to him right now while he was out with someone else. Narcissists can lull you into sleep of you getting used to how life goes, and then they deviate just slightly, but not enough for you to be able to notice, because they're lying about it, because they're hiding it. They're always going to do that because they're trying to be able to get what they want without seeming bad to you or other people. So half of you just haven't caught it yet, okay? The other half of you, he might not be physically cheating on you, but what about emotionally? What about him actually looking at other women? What about him actually spending time with other women? What about him like emotionally connecting? Maybe he's just chatting it up with other people, but he hasn't physically cheated. Like, he hasn't actually had sex with another person, but he's already given his heart away to someone else. He's already put all of his time and energy and attention into someone else, mentally and emotionally. Maybe that's another woman. Maybe that's a hobby. Maybe that's his work. Maybe that's something else other than you. Other than the person that he said he was committed to. That's what I did. I invested in other women. I invested in work. I invested in everything else but my wife. Like, the goal was, let me look good to everyone else, even if that was at the detriment of my wife. Now, when you consider for a moment narcissists all cheat, I believe it's 100% true, and I believe that statement is true. Most people only think, oh, well, my narcissist didn't have sex with someone. Well, narcissists cheat you out of a lot of things. Think about it for a moment, the cost of how much he's cheated you out of. Like, think just for a moment, if we look at a money standpoint, how much money has been wasted on him. The amount of time and energy that you've had to be able to spend interacting with him, that you've had to spend like in the house, or you've had to spend going back and forth. You've had to pay off his bills. You've had to pay off his loans. You helped him when he was a deadbeat, or maybe it's flipped around. He helped you. There's so many different scenarios where we realize that people wasted time and money that is just monstrous. It's astronomical of how much money has been wasted inside the relationship, how much money he stole from you, how much money he's taken from you. What about cheated out of your time? Like, the time that you had with your kids that you don't even have anymore. Like, you're struggling right now to be a present mom because of work, because of the kids, and because of how much toxicity you've had to deal with over the past couple of years because of the guy in your life. Like, he stole different aspects of your life away from you. He's ripped apart your confidence. He's ripped apart your self-esteem, like your value, your worth. You look at yourself in the mirror and you wonder, who am I even looking at? What worth, what value do I even have in this given moment? All of this has been taken from you. All of this you have been cheated out of. And if you're watching this today, you realize this and you resonate that there's something here that you have lost inside this relationship, and it's time for you to regain it. It's time for you to actually take it back and actually move forward in your healing process. I want to be able to help show you how I do that. So we're going to have you navigate to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, because I want you to see how I help liberate women from toxicity, how I help actually change the mindset and help you transform so that he no longer has this pull back to you. There's no longer this piece of like, I love him, but I know logically I shouldn't be with him. If he's cheated you out of so much of your life, it's time to stop. And it's time to actually change your destiny in the direction that you're actually going. So if you're interested in learning more about that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough now. You've been told it's all your fault and that makes you feel crazy. No one understands you and that leaves you in a place of being alone. You've tried to break free multiple times and that leaves you helpless because nothing you've done has actually worked. It hasn't actually got you free or liberated from this toxic relationship. So you feel crazy, alone, and hopeless. Guess what? That's a lie. Because all it is how you've been raised and conditioned inside of this abusive relationship over and over. And as a result, you've sacrificed your growth, you've sacrificed your worth, and you've been trapped inside of a toxic relationship. What if I showed you the path to freedom? A way for you to actually get free mentally and emotionally from the toxicity that's happening right here, right now. You deserve more. You deserve to be able to heal. And I want to help you with that. If I can help you with that, go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. Schedule a call there and let's talk. So I want to talk to you today about cheating. And when we talk about this, a lot of times we'll bring up narcissists and how narcissists cheat, right? Well, the thing that I want to bring up today is that all narcissists cheat. This is not a popular subject. This is not a popular topic. This is not a popular thing that people like to hear because typically someone will be along the lines being like, well, my narcissist didn't cheat. He didn't do this. This didn't happen. When in reality, we're talking about the aspect that a narcissist will cheat you out of everything. Now, is it going to be that he's cheated you in the aspect of he's actually physically slept with another person? Probably, because a lot of times narcissists do. But I need you to understand a narcissist will steal every single thing from you. Your mindset, your thought process, your emotions, like your willpower, your self-esteem, your confidence. All of these things will disappear and will get stolen from you. And typically what happens is through this aspect of cheating. Now, as we step into this conversation today and we step into this piece of how narcissists all cheat, I want you to step first into the frame of understanding who I am and what I've walked through. So I am a self-aware narcissist on this channel to help people break free from narcissistic abuse. And I've been on this channel letting people know the dangers of narcissistic abuse. One of those dangers is the cheating and how it messes with your head. Now, this went over a period of time, about 6-7 years in the relationship where I had multiple affairs, 5 different affairs that has spanned the time of first getting married to the first 6-7 years in our relationship. Now, the thing is, I didn't care about how it was affecting other people. I didn't care how it was affecting my job. I didn't care about anything at all. All I cared about was what I wanted in the moment. And so for me, I was like, well, let me make up a story in my mind of my wife isn't giving me what I want. I'm not getting accepted the way that I want to be. So I'm going to go do what I want to do. And so I started developing different relationships with other people that turned into affairs. Narcissists cheat. Sometimes people don't like it when I say that, but when I actually break it down for you and understand, maybe he didn't have a physical affair. Maybe he just had an emotional affair. Maybe he didn't have an emotional affair. He was just sexting all these people. Maybe we can give all these different examples, but at the end of the day, he's cheated you out of so much of your life. Now, once you consider how he's cheated you out of your time with your kids, because the amount of time you've had to spend focused on him, on his needs, on everything, is cheated you out of the time that you could have spent watching your kids grow up or actually being there for your kids. But you've been distracted. You've been impatient with your kids because you have to make sure that his needs are met. Yours don't matter. Or you got to the place where he cheated on you and he turned around and he blamed it back on you. He said that it was your fault, that you're the reason why he cheated. Narcissists will do this all the time, trying to switch it around so that you are the one that's at fault for his decisions. He's like, I cheated because you weren't available. I cheated because you disrespected me. I cheated because you wouldn't give me enough sex. I cheated because you wouldn't do a threesome with me. I cheated because, and the list goes on because he has to find someone else to blame except for himself. So I would always blame everything else. I was the victim in my mind, and I would say everybody else is wrong, not me. One of the lies that I had in my life was telling myself that I was a good person and that I loved my wife, even though I was cheating on her. Like, how screwed up is that? How messed up is that? But the thought process had to be there so I didn't feel bad about myself, and so I could make sure I was blamed on everyone else. Everyone else leaves me. Everyone else abandons me. Everybody else runs away from me. I don't know why. I'm here. I'm loyal, but I wasn't. So narcissists will cheat you out of time. Narcissists will cheat you out of time with your kids. Narcissists will cheat you out of your time. Narcissists will cheat you out of your health. Will literally steal a lot of your health away from you so that you no longer have the healthy body, the healthy mind, the healthy energy that you used to have it when you got in the relationship. And you'll be continuing to try to figure out, how do I move forward? How do I get healthy? And you wonder why you have to keep going to the doctor, why you have autoimmune disease, why your hair is falling out. You'll be wondering why you're dealing with migraines constantly. You'll be wondering why you have these gut issues that you've never had before. It's because when you're in a toxic environment like this with a toxic narcissistic person, you will have some of the same things that happen because they will cheat you out of your healthy body. They will steal it away. They will steal away your confidence in who you actually are, your self-esteem, your image. It will steal your image of like your value of who you are. I don't look good. I'm not very good. He doesn't like me because of X, Y, and Z. They will literally steal away every single aspect. So I need you to understand, if you're struggling today trying to figure out how to actually rebuild myself from him cheating on me, click on the link in the bio. Because I want you to understand there is a way for you to actually break free from this, but we have to help you understand some of the hard truths that you need to go through. And one of those, and we talk about cheating, is the fact that he made the decision. He might have blamed it on you. He might have told you it was your fault, but he made the decision to cheat on you. Like, if we could paint it in a very graphic picture, is you did not hold a gun to his head and tell him, hey, go cheat on me. You did not force him or compel him or make him go cheat on you, but he's going to flip it around and turn it back on you and say, hey, it's your fault. And you're going to be lost and you're going to be confused, being like, well, maybe if I would have done something different, maybe if I would have given him more sex, maybe if I would have done what he wanted in the bedroom better, maybe if I would have had a threesome with him and some other girl, maybe if I would have done something else, maybe something I would have done would have been better. But the fact of the matter is, nothing you could have done would have changed the fact that he decided to cheat. Nothing. Now, you're going to have some people be like, oh, well, if she would have done this. No, because at the end of the day, it's a man without integrity. It's a man who's a coward, and it's a man who doesn't have any respect for you or even for himself. And as a result, he's deciding to cheat instead of actually being honest or divorce. That's it. And you'll see this happen over and over. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it, and the reason why I'm like coming at this whole subject, is because that's who I was. I was a coward. I wasn't honest. I wasn't open to actually communicating my thoughts or my feelings or what I was struggling with. And instead, I was like, okay, screw you. I'm going to go do what I want to go do. Okay, the coward's way out. So when I say this, I'm not just like throwing shade at a bunch of people being like, oh, you're a coward. I'm talking to myself too. If this is the man that I showed up for years in my relationship, going from affair to affair to affair, and then blaming it on my wife and gaslighting her into believing that it was her fault. All of these things you have to understand. If this is happening in your relationship, you might be in a toxic, narcissistic relationship. And the thing is, you might hold out, waiting and hoping and praying and thinking, maybe it'll change, maybe it'll get better, maybe he'll figure it out. But the fact of the matter is, if he's not honest and he's not vulnerable and he's not showing consistent change, you need to leave. Because the person that you're with is holding a facade over your eyes and making you think that something's going to change when in reality, nothing has changed. Did you get cheated on? Did you have a narcissist in your life that used and abused you and went to the next person? If so, click on the link that's in the bio, escapetoxicity.com. It's our 7-day challenge for $7 to help you start to move forward and deal with the hard truths of this reality. Narcissists and cheating. What's the connection? Why do we see this happen so many times hand in hand, that you have a narcissist and you have a cheater all combined? A cheater, a liar, someone that's cheating you out of your life, out of your dreams, out of your hopes, but then also just the fact of physically cheating on you, mentally and emotionally abusing you. This whole aspect of being a narcissist and being a cheater oftentimes go hand in hand. And we're going to talk about that today and dive into a little bit of the connection between narcissism and also cheating. Now, I've made different statements before that talk about how all narcissists cheat. And I think that's true because I think narcissists will cheat you out of a lot of things. Not just the fact of stealing from you mentally and emotionally, not just of like taking your hopes and dreams, but then also physically cheating on you. Now, if we look inside the small niche of just physical cheating, does every narcissist physically cheat? No, that's obvious. We're not talking about that at this point. We're saying, hey, all narcissists do cheat. They cheat you out of your reality. They cheat you out of the life. They cheat you out of being able to be present with your kids. But when it comes down to the physical cheating and the emotional cheating, if you group that in there with it, you're going to see a lot of times this happens in a toxic relationship. So the quick answer is why? Like, why is this actually going on? Why is this actually happening? Well, part of it you need to understand is that a narcissist feels entitled to you. And what that means is he feels entitled to be able to have what he wants when he wants it with you. Right? This is the piece of where he establishes dominance and ownership over you. He's in control of you, your feelings, your emotions. All those are inconvenient, but he's in charge of manufacturing the right emotions that get the response that he wants in the moment. So there's a piece of a power struggle, of power and control over you. Now, at the same time, you're the person that the narcissist lowers his mask for. Like, you see under the mask because he can't keep it up forever. Like, if he's with someone 24/7, he's only going to be able to keep the mask up for such a long period of time. And then it gets worse and then it gets abusive. So you see underneath his mask. And over a period of time, that nuance of being able to see under his mask and the novelty of him being with someone who doesn't understand him until you do understand him starts to just fade off. Now, when this happens, oftentimes the narcissist is like, how do I get with someone else who makes me feel good about myself and doesn't know who I actually am? Because all narcissists are hiding. They're hiding behind a mask. They're putting up a mask in front of their face, say, hey, this is who I am. I'm Mr. Nice Guy. But then underneath the surface, they're like, yeah, I know that I treat this person awful, but I don't want to admit that, so I'm just going to keep moving on. So sometimes the narcissist will be like, hey, this person has figured me out. They've exposed me. They've understood who I am. I need to go find someone else. Call it emotional, mental, like call it physical, whatever it might be, this cheating piece of like, hey, I need to go find someone else where I feel the way that I want to feel. And this is where the narcissist starts to gaslight himself. And what I mean by that is by telling stories and telling lies to himself to justify the affairs, to justify the cheating, to justify the things that are going on, that it's okay, or that it's justified in the way of, I need this, or I have to have this, or I'm not getting what I want, so therefore let me find it in someone else. So then the narcissist goes and he looks for someone else. And so he's constantly looking for someone else. He might be cycling through different people, different cycles, different supplies, all of this to be able to have his cake and eat it too. Now we get to the place of even more entitlement, right? He's entitled to you, your finances, your body, your mindset, like all these things. He's entitled to you, and he can also do whatever he wants. This is where we also get very hypocritical, where if you cheated on him, he'd probably leave you in an instant because that would have been his ticket out for him to look like a good guy and you to look like the bad guy. No, just side note. Anytime you're trying to get away from a narcissist, just accept that you're going to look like the bad guy. It's okay. Part of it is just coming to that reality that you're going to look like the bad guy to him because you have to, so he feels better about himself. So just understand if you're going to be leaving, divorcing, breaking up from a narcissist, understand that you're going to have to take on the role of being the bad guy. And that's just part of it. If you want to be free, what's that going to cost you? Maybe him calling you the bad guy? Okay, we'll keep moving forward and have you grow and develop you so it doesn't even matter anymore what he says and what he thinks about you. So we got this piece of control and we've got this piece of entitlement over you and even over the next person, the person he's cheating with. Now you might be thinking, okay, why are you speaking on this and talking about all these nuances with it? Well, because this is who I was. How I showed up in my relationship, how I showed up in my marriage was a liar and was a cheater, among many other things that were very abusive. But in this aspect specifically of cheating, it got to a place where I had to sell myself a story that my wife didn't love me, that she didn't care about me, that we weren't connected, that I couldn't be vulnerable with her, that I couldn't be honest with her, that she didn't get me, she didn't understand me. I had to tell myself all of these lies to then be like, oh, but this person does. Let me interact with them. And then you lay on top of it different levels of obligation, more obligation, religious obligation of like, well, I can't leave my wife. Like I can't divorce her because then I would look bad. See how it doesn't make sense? It doesn't make sense, but on the same time, inside the narcissist's mind, they're doing these mental gymnastics and hoops to try to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. This is why he's going to continue to do this over and over and over again until he's willing to be honest. Now, with the cheating piece, you're going to see different aspects where the narcissist will continue to cheat and cheat and cheat. And you'd be like, why doesn't he just leave? Like, if you're unhappy here, if you're dissatisfied by me, then why don't you just leave and go to her? Well, that would be ideal, right? But he's typically not going to do that. Why? Because one, he's comfortable where he is. He's comfortable inside the relationship with you because of the fact that he's not having to do something different and be with this other person 24/7. Like, he can cheat and then come home. It's like grandparents. They can spoil the kids and then they can leave them, right? Like, that's what he's doing. He's being with this person, mask is up so he looks great, and then he leaves. Mask comes down and you experience the dark side of him. He's comfortable because he can dump all of his shit on you and he can show his best side to the next person. And then that person will eventually see under the mask. And then they move to the next person. And then he moves to the next person over and over and over. So you might be thinking, why doesn't he just leave? It would seem so much easier if he would just leave. Well, the other piece is that he's a coward. Okay. And a narcissist is a coward because he doesn't want to be honest with himself. And he also doesn't want to be honest with you about what's going on, about how he's feeling, about all of these different pieces of emotions and ideas that are happening. Instead, he'd rather run from it. He'd rather hide from the truth, hide from accountability, hide from responsibility, and act and pretend like everything is okay. But in reality, it's not. It's just all falling apart. But he's trying to be able to show up in a way that says, look at me. I'm a good guy. I'm a good husband. I'm a good father. I'm a good churchgoer. Like, all these different things that he'll put out there, when in reality, underneath the surface, it's not true at all. But he's too much of a coward to actually do anything about it. There's guilt, there's obligation, there's shame, there's all different types of things that keep a narcissist in a relationship simply because of image, how he looks, how he appears to everybody else. So you have this aspect of him just being a coward. You also have this aspect of him being the chaos. And what I mean by this is, think of a tornado or a hurricane. In the eye of a tornado or a hurricane, this typically not crazy wind. It's typically actually peaceful for just a moment, and then the eye passes over and it gets really hectic and crazy with all the wind and debris that are flying around. Well, when you're in a narcissist's life, you're in his vortex of a tornado. He's in the center being like, life's not bad. I can control and cause all this chaos around me, but it's not affecting me. I'm just in the epicenter of everything that's getting thrown around in this other person's life. Well, this is also the reason why he doesn't really care that it's destroying you, that it's hurting you, that's affecting you. All he cares is that he's not getting affected in the middle of the storm and in the middle of the chaos. So he's in the middle and he's like, why should I leave? Like, this isn't that bad of a situation. I can come home. I have a place to sleep. It doesn't really matter. I can do whatever I want here and I can go do whatever I want there. They're literally like leeching off of you, using you to be able to get what he wants. But this chaos that ensues keeps you so stuck and so confused on justifying, on trying to be able to tell him, no, this isn't what's going on, to try to be able to fight back, to project. Like, there's a million different things that happen in the chaos that get you so confused that you don't actually do anything about it. So then he stays comfortable, and then he stays okay with saying, hey, I'm just going to stay in this relationship, put on a mask at times in here, but then go out and cheat. And then there's also like a high that comes with it. And what I mean by that is, when you watch like a movie or a TV show, there's different ebbs and flows in it, but there's excitements, right? Are the bank robbers going to get away? Are they going to get caught? Are the good guys going to do this? Or are they going to, like, there's all this pieces here. And a narcissist is running off of a lot of times adrenaline inside the aspect of cheating. Can he get away with it? Is it something that he can get really close to you finding out, but you don't find out? That kind of piece is also very addicting, where a narcissist is excited to be able to do this cheating, excited to have this going on simply because of the high of getting away from it, the high of cheating, the high of lying. There's many different aspects to this that we're trying to be able to touch on today. I can't touch on all of them, but trying to be able to just bring it to light of this piece of cheating. And narcissism and cheating go hand in hand the majority of the times. If you expand it out completely to cheating you out of your hopes and dreams and the life that you actually wanted to live, being present with your kids, focus in your work, and actually living for your purpose and calling, yeah, then we can say they all cheat, period. If we break it down into the physical, yes, there might be a select couple that don't cheat, but a lot of them do. And we see this because of the addictive nature, the high, the control, the chaos, and simply being a coward that's unwilling to actually tell you the truth, be honest, and actually move forward inside of their own life. Instead, they'd rather be entitled to yours and to someone else's. He's going to continue to cheat with the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person, over and over and over again. He cheats because of the high, the adrenaline rush, the excitement of getting away with it. He cheats because it's only about him. It's not about you. If you're giving everything to the narcissist, if life is great, if you're actually serving and helping him and you're like, why would he do this to me? Why does he actually cheat? Like, what's the reasoning behind a narcissist cheating? It doesn't even make sense, especially when you've shown up in such a good way. You're like, I do everything for him. Like, I'm the perfect supply for him. Why would he cheat on me? We need to understand when you're first thinking of this, it just shows an unhealed state. Because you're looking at it being like, hey, I was the best servant to him. I was the best victim. I was the best person that I didn't care about myself. I just served him. That's part of the reason why we're in this conversation today. Of putting someone else's needs so far above your own that you neglect yourself, you beat yourself down, and you don't become the person you're called to be because you're distracted with the toxic person that's in your life. But that's a side note, and we'll use that for another video. When we're talking about this piece of cheating, why does he cheat on you, especially when you're giving him everything? Narcissists sometimes will cheat on the other person because of just, frankly, the thrill. The adrenaline rush of getting away with it. The adrenaline rush of pulling the wool over your eyes, making you feel like you're the best person ever and still getting what they want being with another person. And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, I gave him everything you wanted. Well, you have to understand what you're giving and what you want and what you think the relationship's about isn't what the relationship's about. You probably walked into the relationship thinking that it was going to be a connected, loving relationship, as most people would. The problem is with the narcissist, he's typically not coming into the relationship for this purpose of a deep inner soul level connection with another person. That's scary. That's vulnerable. That brings up guilt and shame of who he actually is underneath, revealing the mask of what's actually underneath. And he's scared of that. He's like, I don't think I can do that. And as a result, he'll run away from it. He'll hide from it. He'll put up walls and barriers to make sure that you don't have access to him. And so inside of all of this, as the relationship tries to deepen, there's like this cap. Like, you only get so low in connection with a narcissist because he's not willing to actually be vulnerable and honest about what's actually inside. And so as a result, a narcissist will typically get so far, then they'll start finding different things wrong with you. They'll start finding little nitpicking things, not even verbally, but just in their mind, that are going to be like, oh yeah, I don't like that. That made me feel uncomfortable because she called me out. She actually held me accountable for something. Ugh, look, whew. Yeah, this relationship probably isn't going to last very long because can't have that. And so as a result, he starts to find other sources of supply. You see, the erroneous thought that a lot of people think is because he cheated on me, there's something wrong with me. Like, because this happens, there's something wrong with me. That's the thought that a lot of women have whenever he cheats on you. As you get to the place where you're like, well, I must not be attractive enough. I must have gained too much weight. I must not be as confident anymore. I must not look as sexy for him to actually want to be with me. And as a result, he went out and he looked at other women. As a result, he went out and looked at pornography. As a result, he started hooking up with prostitutes and hookers around the corner just so he could feel better because he didn't find that with me because I guess I'm unattractive and I'm unlovable. And all these thoughts start spiraling into your head. I want you to understand, first and foremost, half of those thoughts typically were implanted by the narcissist. By him slowly degrading the things that you wear, by him slowly making slight comments about your weight, by him slowly making small things about someone else to make you feel bad about yourself. Now, the other half might have come from your childhood. Might have come from before 8 when you can't even have different logic and reasoning and someone said something about your body or your image and that still is with you today and hasn't been healed. Maybe it's from a toxic relationship in the past. There's a litany of different things it could have come from, but I need you to understand the thought process that is just on you because you don't look, act, feel, and act a certain way that he cheated on you is not the case. Especially when we're talking about narcissistic abuse. Why is that? Well, a harsh reality that you need to hear. So the reason that he cheated is because the relationship has nothing to do with you. Let me say that again for this angle. The reason that he cheated has nothing to do with you. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. If I would have done something different. Sit back for a moment with me. Like, just sit back and I want you to consider and to think. What did you already change? Did you already do in the relationship that didn't produce a different result? Think about it for a moment. Like, there's going to be things that you tried to do. You might have changed how you looked. You might have changed what you dressed, how you dressed. You might have changed like how you talked. You might have changed what you brought up, what you shared, what you didn't share. And guess what? It didn't change a thing. Because while you were there morphing and modifying, trying to be the woman that he wants you to be, he's out there cheating on you. Because the narcissist doesn't care about you. And as a result, he's going to continue to cheat with the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person, over and over and over again. He cheats because of the high, the adrenaline rush, the excitement of getting away with it. He cheats because it's only about him. It's not about you. This is a piece where sometimes people get offended because they're like, wait a second, are you calling me a narcissist? No, I'm not calling you a narcissist. Just saying you need to understand in this relationship, if you think in a relationship with a narcissist that it has anything to do with you, you're naive. Because the narcissist's mind is only focused on what I want. That's it. He's just focused on the next thing. He's focused on, what do I want in this moment? I want to feel good. Okay, no one's around. Porn. I want to feel good. Okay, good. Let me go ahead and be with someone else. I want to feel good. Okay, let me go ahead and eat this. There's a lot of different pieces. It's very quick. Self-gratification. Let me get what I want as quick as I can because I'm the most amazing person and I deserve it. That's the thought process. So when you think that when you come into the relationship, you're like, oh, he didn't care about me. No shit. Now you're waking up. Now you're starting to understand the reality when you're with a toxic person that's self-obsessed, that only cares about himself, and as a result, he's looking for the easy wins with other people that are more naive than you to keep him happy. The problem is happiness doesn't equal joy, and it'll still leave a void, it'll still leave a hole, and it'll still leave an addiction inside of him trying to become a man. Because right now, him consistently cheating on you makes him a coward. And right now, as you hear this today and as you know the truth, and if you consistently let him back into your life, abusing you, you become an enabler. There's nothing worse than someone who becomes aware of narcissistic abuse and does nothing about it. And it's not because of a society piece or morality piece. I'm saying when you understand this, when you start to see the light of the toxicity that you're in and you don't do anything about it, what happens is your mind starts to work against you, beating you up, guilting you, and giving you more shame, which will only bring you into more isolation, more hiding away from other people, and as a result, you stay trapped more than ever. The narcissist traps you a ton, but also your mind works against you a lot of times to trap you inside the toxic relationship because of shame, because of guilt, because of ego, lots of different things that will try to keep you hidden. So why does the narcissist cheat? Cheats because of the high. Cheats because of that manipulation piece, the piece of like getting away with it, like convincing himself that he's better than you. Like it's all different types of pieces. He does the cheating because he's like, hey, this is going to make me feel good in the moment because that's all he's focusing on. You don't have a narcissist that typically has a 5-year plan. I might have some fake stuff that they put on paper, but they typically don't have a plan ahead because they're typically not planning ahead. They're reacting constantly. They're proactively figuring out, what do I want right now? Okay, let me do this. There were times where I would need to do something in the moment. So I'd have to create an argument with my wife so I could have justification to leave in my mind. That way I didn't feel like the bad guy because I was like, oh, well, she's yelling at me. Now I'm going to leave and go do what I want to do. Everything about your relationship with the narcissist stems back to him and how he feels, how he thinks, and what he wants. It actually has zero to do with you, any of the relationship. It's a harsh reality that a lot of times people don't want to hear. What I'd have you to understand is the longer you do not want to hear this, the longer you are agreeing to stay stuck in the toxicity. You are okay with being in the toxicity. And I say this to wake you up because if you don't actually decide that you're done with it, it will never be done with you. And it will continue to haunt you. It will continue to control you. It will continue to abuse you. And he will continue to cheat on you over and over and over again. Unless you decide that you're done with it. If you're done with it today, I want you to click on the link down below, which is rawmotivations.com/breakthrough. To be able to help you be liberated from toxicity, liberated from the abuse that you're currently going through, liberated from being trapped to being a woman in freedom. If you actually want that, if it's something you actually crave inside your bones because you're tired of being abused, cheated, and manipulated on, then reach out for help. Click on that link down below, schedule a time for us to be able to talk, and let's work on building a plan and a path forward for you to be liberated from the toxicity that you're stuck in. When we talk about toxic people and narcissists that cheat on you, there are so many different reasons. Like the list could go on, and I'm not going to be able to touch on all of them. Sometimes when a narcissist is cheating on you, it's because of the high. Like it's because of the excitement of being able to get away from it. Like, have you ever thought of like just when you watch a movie where there is someone who's trying to get away with something, like the guys are trying to get away with a bank heist, or people are on like this car chase. And it's like, are they going to get away? Are they not going to get away? There's a high there. There's like an adrenaline rush. And you're going to see this a lot of times with narcissists. You're going to see this a lot of times with just cheaters in general. Of like, can I actually get away with this? Can I actually manipulate this person to think that I'm still being faithful and still do something else? And still get involved with someone else? And still do something that I want to do? You're going to see this happen in these type of relationships where the narcissist is like very infatuated with this high. Now, you also have the piece of the narcissist being infatuated with admiration, attention, this love, this supply from another person. And typically, this supply is getting a reaction or response from anybody. Like, it doesn't really matter what the reaction or response is. It just matters that there is a reaction. There's something that happens. Put something out, I get something back. That's the whole idea, but it's all centered around what the narcissist gets. So that's why he's selective of what he actually does. So you have this back and forth of like, hey, maybe if I do this, then I'll get the attention. Now, the narcissist oftentimes is going to twist it in his mind to make himself feel like he's the victim. Well, my wife won't give me sex, so I need to go find someone else to give me sex. Well, the problem is they normally have a skewed view of reality. So like, yeah, your wife isn't going to give you sex because you're a coward and because you actually don't show up emotionally and you don't create a safe environment for your wife. So what do you freaking expect? So you need to understand a lot of times the narcissist will switch it in his mind being like, oh, I'm the victim, so let me go find someone. And so then he goes find someone and he's like, oh, this person makes me feel so amazing. This person actually gets me. They actually understand because he's playing himself the victim. The problem is it still infiltrates into the next relationship. Even if it's cheating, even if it's moved on to the next person, it still infiltrates into that because he hasn't transformed. He's just changed and he's just modified of like, oh, this person doesn't get it. Let me go to this person. They get me. All of a sudden, they don't get you because you're only willing to go shallow. You're not willing to go deep in the relationship of how you actually show up emotionally. So it continues. The cycle continues over and over and over again. So you need to understand, sometimes narcissists are doing this because of the high. Sometimes narcissists are doing this because they want this attention. They want this supply. Oftentimes, this attention and supply seeking leads to multiple affairs at the same time or multiple communication at the same time. Now, whether it's just affairs, whether it's just like this emotional cheating of going back and forth and like texting a bunch of different people everywhere, narcissists are going to keep doing this. Oftentimes because they want to get away with it. It's cool. It's fun. It's exciting for the narcissist. Or it's like this idea of like, hey, I need more supply. That person's not texting me and this person's not texting me. Oh no, insecure, what do I do? Let me text someone else, okay? There was this piece inside of especially like college where I would be going through where I didn't have someone that was like interacting with me, texting me, anything like this. So I would like shoot a message to someone else. It's like when I really thought of it, it wasn't something that I was like, oh, I actually want to talk to this person. It just felt good. It felt good to have a communication. It felt good to have some information back and forth. It felt good to have someone paying attention to me, responding to me. Oh, they didn't respond fast enough. Like, what? Do they not care about me anymore? Like, there's all these crazy thoughts that kind of go through a narcissist's head, being like, oh, like now they're off cheating on me. Now they're off doing something. And you might be with them, you might be not. There's so many different stories. Like, I can't even sum everything up because we're just like going through this. Okay. But narcissists oftentimes cheat because of a high. They cheat because of the piece of like, oh, I want to be able to get this supply from other people. They cheat oftentimes with the supply of other people of doing it multiple people, multiple different ways so they don't get bored. You need to understand, like, narcissist cheating doesn't have anything to do with you. And you're like, wait a second, he told me it was all my fault. Yeah, he's going to tell you that because he doesn't want to own up to the fact that he's a coward and he didn't actually communicate with you to start off with. Instead, he went out and found another woman that didn't understand him, didn't know him, and he was able to convince his sob story that he's a victim in this relationship because you haven't given him what he wants. And so he's always going to switch it around. He's always going to put it back on you. And until you see that, until you realize that, you'll be stuck in that frame, thinking that it's all your fault, thinking that there's nothing you could have done, thinking that it is all you, when in reality it has nothing to do with you. The narcissist does what he wants to do no matter what. The toxic person is focused on, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to get, regardless of who I run over, who I hurt, or who, like the fallout of this, it doesn't even matter. I'm only focused on what I want in the moment. So I'm going to get it regardless if that hurts you, regardless if that destroys you, doesn't really matter. It's just what I want. So you understand the narcissist is only focused on that. So cheating means, hey, I just need to find someone that's going to give me what I want. That person doesn't do it anymore, set them to the side, next one. That person, set them to the side, next one. And this happens over and over and over. This is why narcissists typically have a list of people that they can call up, of people they can interact with. Old exes that they haven't closed doors with because they don't want to close the doors. Because if they leave the door open, they can still come back. They can still text them, they can still ping them, they can still meet up, they can still hook up, they can still do all these different things because they still have this unlimited leash of supply. Did you have the toxic person in your life that wouldn't close it off with his ex? Or exes. Instead, he was like, oh, everybody's friends with their ex. Now, sometimes that works in healthy relationships. The problem is a toxic person, it will always keep that door open for him to be able to control, manipulate, or be back with the other person. And you're like, no, he wouldn't do that. How is he treating you? Because if you're not treating you with honor, dignity, respect, how do you think he's going to do that to the next person? How do you think he's going to do that to people in the past? How do you think he's going to continue to do this cycle over and over? Now, sometimes people are like, well, once a cheater, always a cheater. And a lot of times you will see that happen because there's not this awakening moment. Now, I've talked about this from change versus transformation. It only is going to happen with this moment of truth and a continuous of, I have to go through truth every single day to be grounded in who I am. Otherwise, it's so easy to revert back. It's so easy to become the man that I used to be. So understanding that, hey, if this is actually going to actually change, actually transform from a cheater to a non-cheater, there has to be a huge aspect of accountability and truth that's happening on all levels. Not on this level of like, oh yeah, I cheated, I'm sorry, push that to the side and does it again. So it has to be something that's different, deeper, bigger inside that is showing up every single day, regardless if you're with the toxic person or not, that he's actually willing to do the work on himself. You can't change this, you can't force this, you can't make him do it. So if he's telling you that he loves you and he's cheating on you, that's a bunch of bullshit and you need to leave because this person doesn't care about you, doesn't care about himself, his integrity, his honesty, any of that. And so you're going to see this is going to continue to happen because he knows he can keep you in this relationship. He can keep having his cake and eat it too. And he'll continue to cheat on you because you're staying because he keeps telling you that he cares about you. Does he actually? If you're struggling with this, go to rawmotivations.com today. Welcome back today to Toxic Tuesdays. We had an opportunity the other week to actually share some of my journey talking through cheating, the different affairs, the different things that happen, the different mindsets, thought process. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that video, go back and watch that video. But a lot of times people will ask now, they'll be like, well, do you cheat now? Are there tendencies now? Do you want this now? Like what's actually happening now? And that's what I want to be able to talk about today and also talk about this piece of how to actually stop the cheating, how to actually bring yourself to a place of it no longer being a part of your life. So if you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness of narcissistic abuse. I work mainly with women who are trapped in toxic relationships to help them find freedom. And on Tuesdays, we take more of the toxic spin where I'm talking more to the guys and wanting to be able to just talk to who he is and what is actually going on so you can actually find the freedom that you need to show up as an honest man. Because if you're not honest, nothing's going to shift and change. We talked about that even the last week of the aspect of lying. But today we're talking about the piece of cheating. Maybe you're a guy that's cheated repeatedly on the girl that you're with. And you keep telling her that you love her and that you care about her, but you keep cheating on her. So we need to just cut everything out and just be able to tell you really quick so that you understand you don't actually love this woman. You're just being an abusive asshole. So inside of this process of cheating, and you're trying to figure out, wait a second, but I actually do care about this person. Nobody cares that you say that. They just care about the demonstration. They care about the evidence, and they care about the results. Consider for a moment that if you go to work and you're supposed to produce a certain result and all you do is show up and not do your job, but you say, I have a lot of effort, you're going to get fired. Unfortunately, we don't normally have that exact criteria inside of a marriage, or else you'd actually been fired from your marriage a long time ago, simply because of how you've been showing up in a negative and abusive way. But when we look at this, you will think that you've spent so much effort, so much time. You're like, I bring home the paycheck, I do all this stuff. You actually don't do shit for your wife. And that's why we're in this problem. And that's why we're here, because you've been consistently, or on and off, cheating on her. And inside of this, you might be selling yourself a lie that you actually love or care about your wife. That's BS and is not even true. Because you're making a choice to be able to hurt her. And you might be like, well, she doesn't even know. She will eventually know. And you're also still making a choice to be able to pull away from her emotionally, mentally, sexually. And as a result, you're spending all that time with someone else, and you're breaking apart, disconnecting, and destroying your current relationship. And you might go to victim mode. Well, she's doing this. She's not accepting me. I get it. But the problem is, you are the one that's in charge of your results. So as a result, if she's actually pulling away, it's because you're making her feel unsafe. You're not making her feel emotionally secure in you. You're not actually holding space for her. So as a result, she's going to pull away from you, and you're going to pull away from her. Why? Because you're immature and you haven't processed your emotions, and you're just moving on to the next person thinking, this next person will save me. When in reality, nothing actually is going to change. Nothing's actually going to be different. You're just running like a tail between your legs, running to the next person, the next person, the next person, trying to get a fresh face that doesn't understand how toxic you actually are. So now that we've laid that, let's go ahead and talk about cheating. My life was filled with cheating. With my wife, cheating on her, like cheating to a place that I was doing things that were abusive. I was doing things that was causing a lot of gaslighting, mindfuckery that was happening inside of our relationship, with people that were inside of our friend group that I was cheating with, that were interacting with us on a day-to-day basis. It was really bad. And it was really awful, just the emotional gaslighting that was happening to everybody to keep it all afloat and to keep it all together. So then on this process, I'd built these habits of over 5 different people that I cheated with. And it was this cycle, every year, every couple of years, it'd be this piece of well, I guess it's just happening again. I even thought to myself, one of the lame ass excuses that I had was, oh, this is just me. This is just what I struggle with. This is just my addiction. This is my curse. I just have to deal with this. Right? I'd flip it in a really weird frame. I just have to bear my cross and kind of move through this. Yeah, it was really screwed up because I'd find any way to be able to justify all the things that I was doing. So when we come to this place where we're talking about cheating and you're like, hey, I actually want to stop. 1, understand that you have to get really honest. And then 2, you have to understand you have to actually want this for you. So don't get on this channel and be like, oh, my wife said if I don't stop cheating, she's going to leave me. Get off my channel and go somewhere else. Why? Because if you're changing for anyone else, it will not work and it will fall apart. And I've seen this happen every single time working with hundreds of different guys. The whole piece inside of here is you have to decide you want a different life for you. And if that ends up having you connected with your spouse, perfect. If that doesn't, you have to actually grow and develop you so you show up in a positive way. Otherwise, the same thing's going to happen over and over and over and over again. And it's never going to change. So, when we're talking through this cheating piece, how do you actually stop it? What does this actually mean? Like I said earlier, many people ask me, do you still cheat? Do you still want to cheat? And here's the thing you need to understand. If you sit on the couch and you eat junk food and you don't go to the gym, how easy is it to keep eating junk food? It's really, really easy because that's all you do. You just keep consuming it. This is great. I'm not going to do anything. Why? Going to the gym? That's hard work. Going to the gym? That takes effort. Going to the gym? That takes time. I'm not going to do that. Going to the store and actually meal planning and prepping? That takes time. That takes effort. So there's all these stories that someone will be fat and sit on the couch and not actually do anything for their actual physical body because they're telling themselves stories. The multiple different layers, multiple different aspects of it, telling themselves stories of why they're going to sit there. So inside of this, they become a victim to their circumstances. Then we move into a place where you're like, well, I want to stop cheating. Okay, well, stopping cheating means we have to stop eating the shit and start moving towards healthy. You're like, well, I don't even know how to do that. It happens up here. It starts off with your mindset, your thought process. Because what's going to spiral out is going to be how you think on a day-to-day basis about another person. And how that's going to spiral into thinking and fantasizing and dreaming and imagining about this person, being with this person, texting this person, communicating with this person. It all starts in your mind because what you think and then what you speak and then what you do. That's the order. So you're like, I don't want to cheat anymore. Okay, well, you need to start thinking differently. When you start thinking about the past supplier, you start thinking about the affair partner, you need to start closing those doors. Breaking down how they actually look, breaking down how they actually think, breaking down the process, because otherwise you will sell yourself a version of reality that paints you as the victim and keeps you going from person to person to try to make yourself feel better. So what I had to do is I had to start breaking down the relationships and having in my mind, putting it down so it actually understand, hey, this actually isn't as good as what it actually is. I think it's good. It feels good. It sounds amazing. It feels amazing. But in reality, it's not because it's fake, it's false, it's lies, and it's actually not a true commitment and true investment. This is way easier said than done. So I'm not just glossing over it being like, oh, just do this. No, like you have to change the mindset, which is why I work on rewiring my mindset every single day inside of stacking, changing the frame, the thought that I'm thinking. Then I also had to pivot and I had to put a lot of pieces of gratitude towards my wife because I wasn't thankful for her. I didn't care about her. I cared about what I wanted. So I had to start shifting everything away from me to focus on her. How can I be grateful for her? How can I appreciate her? How can I thank her? How can all these things point me back to her in a positive way? That started to shift my frame as well. And then inside of this, I also had to come to the realization I had never truly tried with my wife. Ever. Because I was always looking at other people. I was always engaged in pornography. I was always moving to another relationship. I was doing all these other things, never even giving her a fair chance. So part of it came down to the simple fact. People ask her like, well, why did you pick your wife versus the other supplies? Because I decided I should probably give this a chance. Because I never did. And inside of that, I started to realize that it takes more effort to be with someone than it does just to cycle people. But there is a deeper connection, a relationship that is there when you do this. And it's hard because sitting on the other side. So like if you're watching this and you're a guy that's a cheater, sitting on the other side and me saying, hey, you can have a better relationship. You can have a more connected relationship. You can have like a relationship that like blows your mind with your wife. If you're willing to be honest, step up as a man, stop cheating and focus on shifting your mindset so you can focus on her so you can actually engage in a positive way. That seems foreign to you. Why? Because you haven't even experienced it. Because all you've done is you're like, hey, I don't even know what it'd be like to be healthy. I don't even know what it'd be like to have a lower body fat percentage because I'm still sitting on the couch, shoving my face with chips and thinking this is great when in reality, I'm just becoming fat and I'm just becoming stupid because I'm not actually moving forward to help heal myself, but instead I'm leaving myself in this toxic state. As a guy watching this, if you're a cheater, I want you to know the shitty results you have in your life are a direct relation to you. That's it. Stop blaming your wife. Stop blaming your kids. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming your past. Stop blaming the abuse that happened to you when you were a child. Stop blaming all the other shit because right now you have a choice to make and that is for you. How are you going to show up as a healthy human? How are you going to show up as a man? It starts with not lying anymore, but telling the truth. It starts with not cheating anymore, but changing your thought process, your mindset, your fantasy, so you actually focus on the right thing. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to go down into this pit of shame and guilt and keep cycling through over and over, which will leave you still sitting on that proverbial couch over and over for a long period of time, telling yourself that you're a victim, making up stories that you actually love and care about your wife, talking and saying so many lies that confuse you to the place that you don't actually change anything about you, but you continue to do just you. When we talk through this piece of cheating and actually healing and growing and developing you, it starts with a level of you being honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, nothing else is going to shift, nothing else is going to change, and the results you've had for such a long period of time will stay the results that you've had for a long period of time. They will not get better, they will not develop, they will not grow. but you will continue to be the same guy that you've always been, that's been a liar, that's been a cheater, and is not moving forward. If this connects with you and you actually want help, not fake help, not just to say, oh, help me, and then you run away. If you actually want to do the work and actually have help doing this, please reach out. If you're a toxic guy that showed up as a liar or cheater, and you're like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, and I actually am willing to put in the work for myself, not for anyone else, then go to rawmotivations.com today. So they're going to be with someone, feel the shame of being with someone, the guilt, compartmentalize it, then go back, not show up as a real man in the relationship that he's cheating on, and then be like, oh, this must be a problem. They don't love me, so I'm going to go find someone else. What goes through a mind of a narcissist when they're cheating? Now, there's a lot of different nuances to this, and I'm going to try to do the best that I can. So kind of bear with me, okay? Because we're going to talk a little bit about how a narcissist justifies cheating behavior, some of the maybe like the signs, some of the different aspects, and a lot of times how they keep it straight, like the different lies and the different things they're trying to be able to justify and keep straight between different people, different parties, different things that are going on, different family members, whoever knows and doesn't know, all those kind of things, okay? So what's going on inside the mind of a narcissist? So you might be wondering, like, well, what makes you able to talk about this? Well, because I am a narcissist and because I've also cheated. And so understanding like a piece and like the crazy making that happens when someone cheats in a relationship is hard enough in general, but then you add narcissism on top of it, and that's where the person brings in gaslighting and different abuse to confuse the person about what's actually happening. Now, no, I try to be very careful in saying that my narcissism didn't cause cheating, okay? But most narcissists are cheaters because how they show up, what they do, and how they actually are showing up is a sense of entitlement and superiority of being able to do whatever they want. That's what they think. They think that you're just a prize. They think that you're just a toy to be able to get off the shelf, to be able to play with and put back up whenever they feel like it, because everything in the relationship that you've been a part of is transactional. So we're going to kind of dive into that. If you guys are new, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse. Also not just awareness, but healing, growth, change, and development. Helping people actually move through the stages of their healing journey into a growth mindset. When you feel like crazy because you've been with this person, you're like, I know I don't want to be with this person, or I know I don't want to think about this person anymore, but you can't get unstuck. You can't actually like break that apart. It's trauma bond. And it'll leave you stuck for a long period of time. That's how we help people break out every single day. Mentally and emotionally first, and a lot of times physically as well, helping get them free. Okay, that's what we do. You can go to rawmotivation.com. You can grab a time one-on-one with me. We'd love to be able to have you part of one of our communities and to see if you could apply for Thriver to help you actually move forward in your healing and development. All right, that's enough of that. Okay, so talking about cheating with a narcissist, like what is actually going on? One of the first things I want to be able to explain, just kind of like lay the groundwork, is narcissists views themselves as being superior, like being better than you. Okay, so when I'm talking about this is a lot of times I would use the phrase of being like center of the universe. Like I thought I was the center of the universe. I didn't always say it. I would say I was perfect. I would say like it's hard living with such an amazing person. Like I would do all these things to pump myself up. Okay, but with this, narcissists get to the place of saying like I am the center of the universe. When this happens, superiority and entitlement fuels a lot of the cheating behaviors. And so if I'm the center of the universe, okay, so think of it this way. If I'm the king of the kingdom, if I'm the king of the world, put it that way, then everybody else are subjects. Everybody else is meant to serve me. Okay, this is like the thought process. I'm just trying to articulate it so it makes sense. Everybody's supposed to serve me. So as a result, I'm entitled to them. I'm entitled to what they have. I'm entitled to what they do. I'm entitled to anything. Okay, then there's this high level of superiority of like, I'm not just entitled, but I'm actually better, and they actually owe me. This is where like the dynamic shifts a little bit of like, wait a second, you actually owe me. That's why your money's my money and my money's my money. Like you'll see so many different pieces of this come in. So with narcissists like believing like that they're special, that they're the center of the universe, that they deserve special treatment from you. Okay, and oftentimes this is going to look in the form of sexual attention. Okay, like I deserve this from you. Like this is what you should give me. A narcissist also views themselves as being above the rules of what actually governs normal behavior. So like that makes sense. Like you shouldn't do that. Narcissist is like, that doesn't really apply to me because I'm above that, right? I'm the best in the universe. I'm that number one person. Okay, this helps the aspect of not feeling guilty because it's justified. Okay, think of it this way. Like narcissists oftentimes will justify the cheating behavior by convincing themselves that their partner's not meeting their needs. So how I would do this would be like, hey, my wife isn't meeting my needs emotionally. Okay, like she's not there for me. Like I can't talk to her. There's like a disconnect. Like she doesn't get me. She doesn't understand. So I'd find someone else. I'd be like, hey, like my wife doesn't understand me. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you understand me. Like we have so much in common. Like, and then they would just start off and then it'd go emotional and physical every single time. And it gets to this place where it'd go back and forth where I wanted to play the story in my head that it wasn't my fault. That like it was my wife's fault. Because she didn't show up. She rejected me. Like she didn't love me. Like all these stories that I would tell myself, trying to convince myself that I was right. That I was entitled to find it. Because I thought I deserved something. This is a piece that you'll see with a lot of toxic men, that they feel like they deserve something. Specifically sex. Which is why they're in marriages where they're doing coercion, where they're doing marital rape, where they're hurting people in the relationship because they're not getting what they need. Notice the quotation marks of what they quote unquote need. Because when it comes down to it, a narcissist oftentimes will tell you that they need a certain level of sexuality from you. When in reality, they just want that. But the problem is they're not actually creating a safe environment for you to show up in a way that engages sexually. If you're not safe, you're not going to actually put anything out. But a narcissist doesn't care about that. They just care about taking you off the shelf, activating you, and making sure you do what they want you to do. Majority of men don't realize that you don't need sex to survive or to live. It's just a want. But the majority of times they don't really care about anything else but themselves. I speak this way so harshly and so directly because that's how I was. I would just view it as I'm not getting my needs. So I'm going to do whatever I need to do to fix that, to get what I want. Okay? So a lot of times the narcissist is going to justify what's actually happening in the relationship to justify what they're doing. As a result, you have to get really, really good at rationalizing. Okay? Rationalizing toxic behavior to make yourself feel better. This is what a narcissist does. I would rationalize the things that I did of like, it's okay that I did this because I needed to do this because of me. Because of what I wanted, because of what I wanted to get. So like I had to switch it around and blame it on partner, circumstance, external factors, other things of saying like, it's not me, right? It's not me, so I don't have to take responsibility. Narcissist is great at wanting all the power with no responsibility. Like that's the whole goal of like, I want control over you, but I don't want responsibility of what actually happens. I don't want responsibility of my actions, okay? So I'd have to rationalize. Now, sometimes narcissists will rationalize by compartmentalization. Okay, growing up, I didn't know that word. Okay, growing up, I just knew, hey, I put stuff in boxes. I literally knew that from a young kid of like, I would put stuff in boxes. I would have a box to deal with a certain emotion, a certain feeling, a certain person. When I was done with that, I'd box it up, put it away in the back of my mind and move forward. That box either didn't exist or I didn't think about it because it was out of sight, out of mind. Now, a lot of times a narcissist is going to like box things up so they don't have to feel this way or think about this. I would do the same thing in cheating relationships. Would talk to my wife and walk out the door, pick up the phone, call the next person. And like it didn't even make sense to a lot of people of like, wait a second, how can you do that? Because it was compartmentalized. Like what was in the house, what was there, that's one world. What was the cheating, that was another world. A lot of times narcissists will do this by splitting, but that's not the correct term. So let me rephrase that. By just like differentiating between the two. Okay, so I want you to consider, like for me and for a lot of narcissists, this is how it works. Like this reality here is what I'm currently experiencing. Like this is my wife, this is my family. Okay, I love this person, I'm faithful to this person, all this kind of stuff. Story I'm telling myself about this. Then walk out of the house. This reality has now taken over. Okay, I'm in love with this person. We're dating. Like we've got a great relationship. I'm not cheating on her. All this kind of stuff. This person doesn't exist. The only thing that is hard in this moment, once you learn how to do this, not a good thing to learn, but once a narcissist learns how to do this, the only thing that's hard is the jump in between. It's from saying bye to calling the next person, the jump in between. If you can rationalize or you can work past or you can compartmentalize even the jump in one sense, so like box, you can get to the place where the other person doesn't exist. So like even when you're there and you're like, I know, hey, this person's calling over here. I know this is a bad thing that I'm with this person. I'm not telling this person. I'm cheating on this person. All this kind of stuff. I know this is a bad thing, but it gets compartmentalized. It gets shut down. It gets rationalized so I don't have to deal with it. So I don't have to feel the guilt and the shame that actually comes with the responsibility of my actions and taking accountability for the shit that I've done. Okay, so a lot of times compartmentalizing, rationalizing, moving away to try to be able to do whatever I have to do. And part of it goes back to the aspect that a narcissist is doing this to boost their ego or reinforce power and control. Now you're going to see different pieces of it of like, well, I'm a victim. Well, I'm not getting this. Yeah, that makes sense. But there's also a piece of like enjoying the attention and admiration that you get from another person. So like for me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this person, I found the one. This is the best person because they love me, because they adore me, because they serve me, because they worship me, all these different things. These are the thoughts of like, hey, this is actually happening. This person makes me the center of their universe, so it validates that I'm the center of the universe. Like a lot of what we talk about when we talk about narcissism is avoidance of shame, okay, and is trying to prop up a fragile ego. In all that, there's also a lot of circular reasoning and thought process that makes it confusing for quote unquote normal people to understand narcissists because it doesn't logically make sense. But for them to be able to activate a certain piece, feel that way, go back, activate another piece, feel that way, it like all goes back and forth all around the corner. Okay, so they're going to be with someone, feel the shame of being with someone, the guilt, compartmentalize it, then go back, not show up as a real man in the relationship that he's cheating on, and then be like, oh, this must be a problem. They don't love me, so I'm going to go find someone else. And it goes back and forth over and over and over again, looking for that one person that's going to make them feel better about themselves and validate their sense of self, their shallow self-image. Okay, maybe you're at the place where you've been cheated on or you're in the relationship, you're like, this guy is cheating on me. Like, I know this is happening. Or you just got cheated on. You're like, I don't know what to do. Please reach out for help. We work every day helping get you clear and clarity of what's actually going on. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to be able to talk to you to help you break free of the trauma bond, understand the abuse that you've been in, understand the thought process, how the narcissist is not actually caring or loving, even though they're demonstrating or showing pieces of that. You're like, wait a second, what's actually going on? What do I believe? All those different things make up part of the trauma bond. There's so many different things we can talk about. But if you have questions, if you want answers, if you want to start walking through this process to get healed by being with a narcissist, go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones, and let's start today.